from the Chamber of Achaia. I am a member of this ECO-NautiNET project, ECO-NautiNET network, and we have organized the virtual conference that started yesterday in order to have a possibility to bring together small and medium enterprises which are active in the nautical sector and in blue growth sector with the research community, and to discuss common issues. Yesterday we had the chance to see presentations from the research community, but also from small and medium enterprises. We have seen innovative results. The innovative part of our conference is that it is in a hybrid format. So if you access the online platform that we have implemented, you will be able to access also further presentations in video format. So you are able to see very interesting presentations and to make questions for each presentation. And we will administrate the dissemination of the questions to the appropriate persons in order to receive answers. Today, we have organized two sessions. One is the one that we all participate right now, is dedicated to the economy. We have faced the economic crisis almost a decade or more in some countries. But also we faced a pandemic crisis the last months, the first semester of 2020. So we decided as a project to have a discussion entitled Economy Crisis, Measures and Possibilities for Finance in the Period After the Epidemic Crisis. And for this reason, we have asked two speakers, Mrs. Elena Papadopoulou from Greece, from Patras, who is Managing Director of L Yachting and a member of touristic ship owners here in Greece. She is very active in the field of sea tourism. And Mr. Marko Jursic, advisor to the President of the Croatian Chamber of Economy, in order to have the possibility to discuss with them and with the members of our network which are the problems that SMEs face and how we can proceed carefully in the next steps, because we have to take into account that we are in the middle of the tourism period has just opened. Of course, in a very special format with all the safety measures that all of us will need to undertake. There is fear in several SMEs whether they will be able to operate. We have seen hotels, for example, here in Patras, half of the hotels are not working, and they are afraid to open during the touristic season. So these are issues, but of course there are several more that we would like to discuss. So we organize the meeting with two presentations from our two speakers, and then we'll have questions and answers, but also an open discussion between all of us. So I don't want to waste more of your time. I would like, based on the agenda, I would like to continue with Mr. Marko Jursic, the advisor of the President of the Croatian Chamber of Economy, to start with his speech. Mr. Jursic, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for your participation. We are eager to hear from you now.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to all, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here with you. I'm, as already noted, I'm the advisor of the President of Croatian Chamber of Economy. In the last couple of months, I think that we had maybe the biggest engagement in dealing with the issues and challenges that we had during this crisis. Of course, it started as a pandemic, but it quickly turned into probably the biggest economic crisis in last, I think, more than 100 years. Now, of course, the question is how long will it last, and how quickly will we be able to get out of it and to return back to normal, to return back to the direction and the ways that we had before the COVID crisis. SMEs are struck the hardest because they don't have the capacity to deal with these issues themselves. And regarding the topic today, that we have to see what are the financing opportunities after the pandemic is done, I would give the perspective of things from Croatia. And I would say that these first couple of months were basically a mode of damage control. It was crisis management exercise, to call it that way, because we had to adapt quickly and we had to implement the tools and measures that will ease up the issues and troubles that hit our companies. I would say that dealing with the economic crisis, we can divide it in two parts. One is short term, the other one is mid and long term. Short term is in large part the same in all the countries that we are dealing with at this moment. The governments focused on relieving the pressure through salary grants, through paying a certain amount of salary for people working in the sectors that were hit the strongest. We had measures of some tax reforms, be it short-term or long-term, and the common goal in these first short-term measures were keeping the liquidity of the system intact as much as possible. And the second one, which is maybe even the more important, is keeping the workplaces secure. As I said, this is short term, and this lasted for a couple of months, and now things are starting to open up. And I fear that now we will be dealing with larger issues and problems, because until now we successfully secured large number of workplaces. We successfully secured that the system and the economy doesn't really collapse. But now when the economies are starting to open up, when governments are showing that they have no really the funds in such amount that we can support, that the governments can support the system for a couple of more months, now we will see how are we going to fare. As we heard a little bit before, the tourism sector is hit the hardest, and Croatia is definitely feeling it. We are feeling it ourselves the most strongly, because tourism sector, entertainment, event industry is not only struck by short period of lockdown. We are struck by the mentality and fear of people to even travel and to use the tourist services when the borders start to open up. So this is a sector that will be hit the hardest, and the sector that will not be able to use some measures that will be put in force throughout the EU in the long term. And in the long term, it seems that European Union is finally stepping up in supporting the businesses. In our view, from Croatian Chamber of Economy, one of the biggest success stories of this crisis is that there was no talk of austerity, which was so much enforced during 2008, 2009, 2010. So we have the common stance from European Union that we need to spend, we need to invest, we need to, as a system, we need to produce and provide financial tools for private businesses to survive. And in our view, finally, the private businesses are the focal point of all of the action plans and strategies brought forward on the level of EU. So after we've passed these first 3 or 4 months of crisis, now we are going to deal with how to successfully keep our business afloat in the following months. In this aspect, in this mid and long-term goals and activities, we have measures from the governments and measures in some programs that are in preparation from the side of European Union. On the level of government, I will talk specifically about Croatia, but we analyzed other countries as well. And basically, the tools and measures are similar. The intensity can change, but the tools are similar. And the tools go towards enabling private and public banks and financial institutions in the countries to enable companies to have easily accessible funds, easily accessible loans, which is cheap, which is not burdened by administrative obstacles, to just provide liquidity and operational finances for companies to keep their work afloat. Other thing that we see that many countries are enforcing now is this model of shortened work week. This was the model used mostly in Germany and Austria during 2009, 10, and 11, which will provide companies, especially production companies, to produce or to work only 3 or 4 days per week, and their workforce will be paid or supplemented. The rest of their salary will be supplemented by the government. This is a great way to support the businesses that are developing, producing, exporting. But on the other hand, it is not a model that will be usable or effective for the tourism that we are talking about, especially in the context of this conference, because tourism and service industry very often is not able to shorten their work week because they have to work every day to really meet their financial goals or to make them even profitable. Of course, if we talk about restaurants, about yachting, about hotels, we know that there is no way for these sectors, for these companies to say, okay, we will not work on Friday, Saturday, and we'll get the money from the state. That's just not feasible. For those companies, for these kind of sectors, other tools are needed. What EU is preparing is this new generation EU program, which encompasses around 750 billion euros, aimed at private sector, aimed at relieving the situation and the problems posed by COVID-19. Around 500 billion will be used as grants, and around 250 billion will be used as funds that will be pushed to companies through loans, through credit lines, which will be easily accessible and I hope cheap, because that's what we need now. Of course, I can also talk from the perspective of Croatia. This was a big news, but there are a couple of challenges that we have to meet. First one is for this program to be in force on the level of European Commission. At this moment, it's only a proposition. And in my mind, in my opinion, I think that we'll have to wait until beginning of 2021 to start to use these funds. Will these funds be in that amount or not? What will be the ways that we will be able to use them? It's still not clear because a couple of countries, especially Austria, Denmark, Netherlands, and Sweden, I think, are opposing this kind of reimbursement of funds. And they still have to fight on the level of European Commission to adopt this new model. And as I said, we'll have to wait, I think, at least 6 months for that to be operational. Before these 6 months pass, we'll have to deal with, as I said previously, with damage control, with crisis management, and use of other available instruments. There are a couple of instruments from ECB, from EU, aimed mostly at financing, at cheap and accessible financing, as some kind of bridge towards next year, where there will be more funds available. Of course, these funds from EU, the new funds that will be available in 2021, this will not be helicopter money. This will not be something that will be accessible to everyone without any conditions. We can see that it will be aimed mostly, it will be focused on digital and green economy, which means that these funds will serve couple of uses. One use is to overcome part of issues and obstacles given by the COVID-19. And the other is it will use also as a tool for joint economic development of the EU itself towards the sectors that will be higher added value in the future, that will be digital, that will be green. So basically, it's not only aimed at fight against COVID-19, it's also aimed at general development of the whole of the economy of the European Union, which means that some sectors will maybe not be able to find their place in those funds so easily. But I think at this moment, it's a time to lobby on the level of companies and especially SMEs towards EU, towards our own governments, each and every one of us, and towards EU to put in front the needs of SMEs, as well as big companies, of course, to present specifically what the companies need, what are the biggest obstacles, what are the biggest issues. So when this program gets in place, that we'll be able to say, okay, now this is something that will really be in use for us. It will not be the funds that will go, that will not be used effectively. The funds have to be used for keeping the workplaces, keeping the jobs, if possible, raising them on the level of higher added value. And I said in next 6 months, until the negotiation will take place and the programming will take place, it's these 6 months that we have to use together to really put in front the needs of the businesses, of the private sector as a generator of further development. Croatia, again, I have to also always talk from the perspective of Croatia, because this is what we are dealing with day to day. We can see that European Central Bank has also stepped up, and we can see that the countries that are already within the Eurozone are in the better position to defend and to fight against the economic crisis that is occurring. Croatia is still not the member of Eurozone. We hope that will be in next possibly 3 years, 2 or 3 years, not before that. But I think this showed us, gave us a clear picture of the advantages of being a part of Eurozone, because through European Central Bank, there are large funds available quickly, cheaply, and companies can rely on that. This is something that companies from the Eurozone have to take a look at to see how to keep their liquidity, how to keep their business going, because next year we'll see the real effect of everything that this COVID-19 brought up. So this is in short the view of the possibilities how to fight. As I said, it's not easy. We are still not sure how this will end. I think that we can see that not even the first wave of COVID has passed. Spikes are again showing up in a number of countries. Croatia also goes through these minor spikes in the last couple of days. And what is I think clear is that there will be no more strict lockdowns as we had until basically yesterday, and focus will be on the economy. We have to see what is possible from national banks, from domestic banking sector. In Croatia, Croatian National Bank put in force this practice of treating companies favorably, of giving them access to funds. Government gave tax deductions. It will not be able to last too long. I think until the end of the year, we'll be forced to look towards private banking and towards EU funds. And in the next 6 months, as I said a couple of times before, we have to focus on lobbying and putting our needs first towards the European Commission. So this year will be hard. We'll fall around 8-9% in terms of GDP, but next year will be really a showcase of how quick we'll be able to come back. So this will be from my side, just introduction of the situation that we have now, and I will be open to the questions in after the following presentation. Thank you very much. We can't hear you because your microphone is turned off.
Yes, sorry. Thank you very much, Mr. Jusic. It was a very good description of the problems and how we as countries try to confront the damage control at the beginning. It seems that we continue in this position of controlling the damage. We are not in position to discuss in more details about the next steps. It seems that, as you have described, now we are trying to formulate the programs at European level. So I would like to keep what you have said. It is time to lobby with the SMEs towards to our national governments, but also at European level. So I keep this, and as a chamber, trying to represent the interests of our local SMEs. This is something that we have to do. Before proceeding to the next presentation, I think that we have some questions. I don't know, Maria Rosa, can you make your question?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I put my question also in the common chat. I am Maria Rosa Bordini from a business support organization of Italy in Ravenna, that is CNA, that is the National Confederation of Handcraft and Little SME. I've got a question for you. That is, the coronavirus has led to phenomena or situations of isolatism and distancing at local level, national level, and international level. In your opinion, where, how shall we find a new common ground of cooperation for the economic growth? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bardini. Well, yeah, we see the cases of new isolation all over the EU and the world, but I think that there is a rude awakening coming for some countries, because there is a fault in logic, because we can see that every country is promoting self-sustainability and exports while trying to lower the imports. I think that's I will give you one plastic case in tourism. We have countries telling their people stay home, and at the same time inviting everyone else in. It's something that's just not feasible. It's these double standards which are I think the result of fear, of course, at this moment, and not really managing correctly in this situation. And I think on the level of EU, people will see that it's not possible to increase exports, be self-sustainable, and block imports. I think especially some countries, some companies will see that it's not possible to reach the economies of scales and competitiveness level only on the domestic market. And I think in the EU, we will find the common ground quite soon. After the crisis is done, I think that we will see that we have to look towards each other, that we cannot be self-sustainable in every sector, with every product, with every service, and we will turn to each other quite quickly. What will be different is the isolation or trade relations between these big blocks. You have US, you have Asia, China, you have EU, but this problem is not something that sprung up because of COVID-19. It's something that is only emphasized and made clear by COVID-19, but these trends of isolation, new isolation, and the new geostrategic positions of EU, China, USA, and so on. It started a couple of years ago. This is something that will only fasten it. And in terms of trade relations and isolation between these three big blocks and further development of globalization, I think that things will start to look differently, because if you look at globalization scale in last 5 or 6 years, it's not going forward. Globalization arrived at some 60% of world trade, and it's stuck there for a number of years. And now we can see that geostrategic and geopolitical issues are taking the first place and priority, and we see that the rise of China and the change of what China is today compared to what was a couple of years ago, where it was, to be blunt, even the sweatshop for the rest of the world. Now it's completely different. I think things will change. What will it mean in the end? Will the prices go up? Will the inflation go up? If we lose that economies of scales and price competitiveness with production in other countries, how will it will reflect on our everyday lives? It's still to be seen, but okay, not to keep it too long. Within the EU, I think that things will have a yo-yo effect. We'll come back to working together, but as the whole, as the EU, we have to definitely take a joint stance towards all other big players, and we have to strengthen our position as well. I hope that this is all vague, this is all really fluid, but I hope that I gave you only my opinion. Of course, it's only that, it's only my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I had prepared a question myself, Mr. Jursic, with respect to specific programs that could be valorized by the SMEs. Of course, you have given us specific questions, so I would like to modify this question. Since that we are in a period of that we can support our national governments and European Union in order to formulate the programs for the next period. Would it be possible for to try to pressure for a program dedicated for sea tourism in Adriatic-Ionian region for the SMEs? So could we go through our national governments to the European Union and try to pressure and task for a program dedicated, for example, to nautical tourism, to invest on SMEs in nautical tourism, integrating, for example, digital technologies, trying to integrate the two parameters that you have said earlier, digitalization and also the environmental aspects? Could be a solution.
Yeah, I think that is the way to go, and not only to go towards European Commission country by country, but really to have a joint approach. If we have the same issues in this region, why not go jointly towards European Commission? As I think that at this moment iron is hot, and what we are going to do in next 5 or 6 months, I think that will definitely define how are we going to use these funds in the next 7 years. European Commission did put these two topics, digital and green, as the foremost priorities, but we have to see how to fit in, and how to use this to raise the level of added value and to develop the competition with these sectors in our region. That's definitely the way to go. There is no program at this moment. We have two lobbying cases that we have. First, the new budget for next 7 years, and the new 750 billion euros for fight against COVID. What I see as opportunity is that the position is it will be focused on private sector. Let's make them really give the money to the private sector to develop something that will be sustainable, that will be higher added value, that will create long standing and robust workplaces. And as it's now, it's time to brainstorm and to develop the approach. That's my view. If we are not going to have that kind of approach in the next couple of months, at the end we will just look at what they developed for us and we will try to fit in. It's better to tell them, give them the solution. Give us this, and we will all be glad in the end.
Okay, thank you very much. I totally agree with your approach. Anton, I think that you also have a specific question.
Yes, but I would like to give the floor to Mrs. Genta Ahmeti because she has a question.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So my question was about the SMEs. So what was the impact of the SMEs after the COVID, the cluster and everything? What was the impact that they had in Croatia, for example? So small SMEs normally has some difficulties to grow or to the workforce. So how was this impact? Did they have a problem to start reworking, or did they still dealing with this kind of problem? How is the workforce now? They are turning to work freely, let's say, or are still having troubles? And the other question that, in your opinion, so as a Chamber of Commerce and in all the regions, you represent the SMEs in the European Union. So our question is, if we start creating work together, so all the SMEs start to make projects and to build together and representing the region in a big way, do we have any chance to be as big competitors in the European nations with other companies in the maritime world? Let's say what we're doing. So yesterday was interesting that we can grow. We have the all the resources here in high technology and also making the tradition work. But what was the impact is like, if we work all together, can we represent a big region, a big company, let's say, in this? That was my question.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think that SMEs are in the biggest problems, at least in Croatia. SMEs are hit the hardest, and it's basically 95% of the companies are SME. What is the problem is, if you look at the funding made available, the problem is that SMEs are not able really to invest all the time and to grow their business, to raise the economies of scales. Besides giving them the access to funds that will spur investment and growth, I think in first 18 months we have to simply give them the funds to survive and ask them to invest and to grow after that, because now it's fight to survive. In Croatia, I can speak only about Croatia in terms of specific numbers. In Croatia at this moment, we are doing good in relation to keeping the workplaces intact. But now when this short-term funding is stopped, I don't think it will be so easy for companies to keep their workforce. For bigger companies, it's easier. But for small companies, with all the models, with even that shortened work week model, it's not easy. If they have 7 employees, they cannot say, okay, we will stop working for 2 days, because then very often they will not be able to do anything right. For bigger companies, it's much easier. So SMEs are struck the hardest, and this is in Croatian Chamber of Economy, we are servicing all companies, but SMEs are receiving, I think, the biggest support, because they don't have the capacity themselves to fight this. So far, so good, but I think every day is a new story. It's really fluid, and we are dealing every day with government, with institutions to provide them with some safety network. In Croatia now we have also parliamentary elections, so this is something that maybe slowed down the communication with the government and so on. But we are dealing on daily basis with these issues. Regarding your second question of jointly stepping up, yes, that's definitely possible in various ways. The first one, as we talked about previously, is not concerned to business; it's concerned with lobbying. Going jointly as a big number, as a big group towards all the legislation from the state level to EU level is definitely something that is worthwhile. But also on the business level, competing, cooperating in competition for big project, that's one thing. But there is one example of how small and medium-sized businesses in Croatia successfully cooperated, not on joint businesses, but for instance, if you have small shipbuilders, and 10 years ago in Croatia, many of these small shipbuilders, for instance, bought aluminium and resources one by one, you know, through a couple of intermediaries, and at the end the price was so high that they were not able to be competitive. If you join together to, for instance, go to the source together, you will be able to use the advantages of supply chain for yourself, in your advantage. If you go if you go together, you will be able to bypass, for instance, intermediaries and go directly to the source of the aluminium, of the resources. This is one way of how to work together on the market, not only through cooperation on joint projects, but in some other business areas. So this is something that's definitely needed. There are already some institutions and some models in European Union that are feasible through Euro chambers, through European Enterprise Network, and so on. But I think that it's still not enough. There is still a lot of space for SMEs in these countries to use to have common stance towards the market.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had also a question for you, although in quite a large amount you already touched the subject and replied in some way. But for example, ECO-NautiNET is a project that aims to connect and find synergies between the academia and small medium enterprises. Maybe in this situation there is an opportunity to also make available for the SMEs some funds that are dedicated for innovation in a way that they collaborate with universities and for example chambers of economy, because this is a critical time when they might not have the capacity to apply for the funds that are dedicated for some purpose, for example for eco-innovation, for blue growth, for green growth. The usual reaction from people is that, okay, this is something that we will postpone because now we need to fight for survival. But maybe there is the opportunity to, let's say, fight for survival together while innovating. So if anyone has innovative ideas, maybe they can get some help immediately from other institutions like universities and business support institutions. Do you know maybe about some lines of financing that would be useful in this capacity, so that we can exploit them to also keep the wheels going, let's say, in terms of innovation? Yeah,
well, thank you. I will be quite pragmatic in this question, because it is a good question, and if you look at the practice of different countries, you can see a totally different approach. I will give you an example, which is not direct answer, but just to give you the parallel of the practice. For instance, in Poland and Croatia, in funds directed for innovation of large companies. For instance, in Poland, a company was able to get 35% intensity grant for innovation of new marketing model, of innovation of a working line that is 10% different than old production line. You know, so this was deemed innovation. In Croatia, to get funds for innovation, you had to develop prototype or patent, which gives you, and it was all encompassed by the same EU legislation and the same EU rules. So, which means that first we have to make sure that on EU level they are flexible enough in terms of definition of what innovation is and who is the leader of innovation. In my mind, the private company has to be the leading part of innovation, and research institutes, it's something that's, you know, on the top of it as supplement and support. And when we deal with that on national level, in every nation that we talk about now, we have to make sure that our governments are flexible enough to give us the money. Don't ask, if you ask of the company to develop the prototype, then you can be sure that only 5% of these projects will be economically viable, because we know that how many prototypes reach the commercial level. If you give the companies money for incremental innovation, it will make them, it will make possible for them to be more competitive with the products that they have, and they will reach some kind of innovation level. They will push forward their product, their services. So I think that, as I said, maybe I'm focused too much on what's coming in EU with new budget and new 750 billion, but this is the cup of gold that we have to dig in and to tell them, give us the funding, enable us to move in context of innovation incrementally, little by little, small steps. It will keep our workplaces intact. It will fill the budget, the state budgets, to cover other expenses and other aspects of government spending. And in 2 or 3 years, we'll be able to make big leapfrogs, or in 2 or 3 years, you will see that these small steps really made one big step. This would be my approach. When talking about companies in the innovation, I respect the research institutions and education highly, but let us put companies first, and let us see what is the need of the company in workplaces, and this way I think we'll have our cake and eat it too. maybe I'm naive, but I think that that's the way to go.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I tend to agree that the prolonging the period and also making the steps of TRL in a natural way would help to also get funded and to actually make sure that funds are spent on the right things.
Yeah. Just to add, for instance, if we see that these funds will be for big investments, and the companies, especially SMEs, are fighting for their survival, then if we ask for the company to invest 55% of the investment themselves for something that's new, and they are still they're trying to keep their old work alive, I think it's putting them into a situation that they have to fight another war, and they're not done with the first one as we speak of. So this is something that we have to deal with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Jurusic. I don't know if we have...
Can I ask something very quickly? Sorry, because
yes,
I had some problems. Good morning, I'm Professor Nikitakos from Greece. I would like to ask you, so far for some funding, there are some evaluation criteria if those fundings they're spent correctly. With the pandemic, those criteria that are going to change, and if they are going to change, in which step or in which part they are going to change. I mean, somebody can pretend that I'm not spending the money due to the pandemic or due to COVID or something like that. They have considered this one in the European Union. That's my question. I mean, if you know, I mean, will be new evaluation criteria from the spending, or will be the old one?
Well, if to be honest, I don't know. That's what I'm talking about. Is let's see what was wrong so far, and let's put the pressure on them to make it easier. To make it easier to put the evaluation in the way that will help the private businesses to do business, to use the money to grow. At this moment, there is no indication of how it will be done, what will the criteria be, if anything will change. But I think that we can see that there is a high level of preparedness to be more flexible than before, to put it diplomatically in that way. For it's on us to put pressure and to tell them, okay, this is the way that we will be able to really use that money. This is the way that it will be in the end good for you and for us as well as companies.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any other question that someone wants to make? Okay, thank you. So we continue with our next speaker, Ms. Papadopoulou. Elena, I think that you have prepared a short presentation also.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so if you want, you can share your screen.
Can you see it?
Yes, yes, we see the screen. Okay, so the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me today. So my name is Helena Podopoulou, and I'm from Patras. I'm the founder and the managing director of L Yachting, which is our company. It's a small company. We have been members of the Hellenic Professional Yacht Owners Association, and we've got more than 15 years of experience in the yacht chartering business. So today I will be talking about our business and the yacht chartering in Greece and how the COVID-19 has impacted because we are living the devastated effects of this every day. In 2018, the tourism contributed in Greece to the 21% of the GDP, and yacht chartering offered 1.41%. The Greek charter fleet has grown from 3,400 yachts to 6,000 in nearly 4 years. And only this year we had 750 new boats that came into Greece. So Greece right now is one of the biggest yacht markets in Europe. This is because of the geographical position, our history, our coastline, and our islands. In the yacht chartering industry, we have 3 categories of yachts that cover all budgets. So from low income to very, very high. We've got the sailing yachts, monohulls and catamarans, motor yachts, and motor sailors. These boats are usually chartered on a weekly basis, and some also on a daily basis with the day trips around the islands. The majority of our clients come from Europe, 70%, and the rest they come from Russia, Middle East, and America. The thing to point out here is that yachting does not only bring income to charter fleets and yacht owners, but also to a large number of small businesses and individuals which are surrounded by the yachting. I'm just giving some examples like mechanics and electricians, shipyards, supermarkets and local restaurants, transfer companies, cleaning services, laundries, crews, and divers. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we have had a very, very high percentage of cancellations. I would say that it's more than 70% because the majority of our clients are coming from abroad. Right now, we believe that it will be a success story if we manage to reach the 30% of what we had last year. The majority of our clients are canceling because they're afraid of traveling. There's a huge problem with the flight cancellations. The flights are unavailable, so clients cannot rebook. And also, the small charter flights are not operating yet to areas like Preveza and other islands. Another thing is that the clients are scared of the quarantine restrictions and are also afraid of going into lockdown once they are here in Greece. Our season is normally 6 months. So we start in April and we finish in October, which means that right now we have already lost half the season. And what we're hoping is to try and save at least 2 months, which August and September. A good thing is that when Greece came out of the lockdown, we did notice a small increase in requests, which show us that people are still interested in coming to Greece for yachting. However, the bookings are minimal, and they're mostly from the Balkans and Italy, because people prefer to travel by car than fly, and they also prefer to charter a yacht. Yachts offer social distancing, so when you're on a yacht, you can avoid large crowds, and they're more independent because people can cook on board, they can swim in isolated bays, so they don't have to come so much in contact with other people. The other thing that we have noticed is that during this COVID-19, the preferences of our clients have changed regarding what yachts they want to charter. So right now, the majority of clients prefer to charter small yachts like 2 or 3 cabins, which is just for a family, catamarans, which are very large in spaces, and also the people that have much bigger budgets will want to charter a motor yacht, And also the period of chartering has changed. So before, lots of people used to come and charter a yacht for a week and then stay for another week in a hotel. But now they seem to prefer to stay for a longer period on a boat. The majority of the companies that are involved in the yachting business in Greece are small, medium enterprises. And this year, the only thing that we really aspire to do is to try and cover our expenses and essentially survive. We're looking at an 80% decrease of the yachting income. This also means a huge decrease in all of the small companies that are surrounded by yachting. But the question is, what do we have to do now? Right now, and this is also my personal experience, we are trying to look into the future and to prepare ourselves for the post-COVID era. What we can see is that the sailing enthusiasts are increasing rapidly. People prefer this kind of holidays. And also I can say that the tourism ministry in Greece has done a very good job with advertising Greece as a safe destination. Holidays on a yacht is one of the safest ways to travel, and I think that lots of people have started to understand this. And the other good thing that we have such a large variety of yachts, it can cover all types of budgets. The key question, however, right now is how will our business survive? So what are we doing is, I think, as many other businesses are doing, we're trying to minimize our expenses. For example, we have a fleet of 20 boats, and this year we have decided to only use 10 boats, as the bookings that we have right now are not enough to cover all of the boats' availability. In this sense, we don't have to do all the maintenance on all the 20 boats as we would do in other years, but just to do the maintenance on the boats that are going to work. The other thing that we have been doing, and that also Mr. Marco mentioned before, is that we have applied for funding from the banks. It's not the best thing that we can do, but it's essential for our survival. Also, the Greek government has regulated and postponed tax payments. They have covered salaries and also health insurance, and we really hope that this will continue, and especially for the businesses that are in tourism, because it's going to be a very difficult season. We have, in the yacht business, we also have a very big expense, which is the mooring fees. The good thing is that we have very strong unions in Greece, which are fighting this matter and are trying to make efforts in order to reduce at least the expenses during the crisis. However, this is not sufficient. And from what I see from my business, because I have to keep it running, we have thought of other ways in order to get clients. We have to stay, as businesses, proactive. So we guide our clients, we inform them about the current situation in our country, and we try and support and stimulate them. We must keep an open mind, and we must also be flexible and react to customers' fears. So right now, we offer to our clients a flexible payment plan for when they're booking their yacht. For example, before, and all of the other years, we used to ask for a 50% down payment in order to keep the yacht, and the other 50% was paid 4 weeks before their embarkation. Right now, we have changed this, and we only ask for a 20 or 25%, depending, and the rest can be paid later on when the clients also have a better idea whether they'll be able to travel or not. We don't charge any cancellation fees. We handle the existing bookings with empathy. So instead of, we try to propose to clients not to cancel completely, but we ask them to think about rescheduling either for this year in a later time or else next year. And we are also right now offering credit notes to our clients who cannot decide whether they want to come next year. The other thing that we are doing is emphasizing that boat holidays are safe. They're probably one of the safest ways that somebody could go on holidays. Right now, we are facilitating new safety and hygiene protocols. So all of the boats have to be sanitized before the clients go on board. Greece is on the map as a safe tourist destination, and we as businesses in Greece should take this opportunity and try and move it to a bigger level. The other thing is that right now we are turning to domestic tourism. So we're trying to encourage local nationals to try yachting and to charter a boat for some days. This, of course, will not cover our income, the income that we usually have, but it is a very small help to try and survive. Any help that comes is very important for us. So our motto right now is don't cancel, reschedule. So this is from me and my business, and I would like to thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elena, for your presentation. As we all know, tourism and yachting is one of the most important sectors, not only in Greece, but in all over Adriatic Ionian. So it is really important to see what is the situation here in Greece, but also I think it's more or less the same in other countries of Adriatic Ionian region.
Where is this nice place at the end? Which?
It's Paxos.
Ah, okay, very nice.
Paxos in Ionian Islands.
Yeah.
Yes, because we go from the Paxos. Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, very nice.
Okay,
so we have some questions. Maria Rosa, can you start?
Yes.
With the question. Okay.
Yes, thank you. So the coronavirus has shocked and changed economy at local, national, and international level. In your opinion, will the post
I cannot hear you, Maria Rosa. You have switched off your microphone.
I try again. So
okay.
I have put my question also in the chat.
Okay.
So coronavirus has shocked and changed economy at local, national, and international level. Ms. Elena, in your opinion, will the post-COVID economy be more oriented toward sustainable development with more attention to people and environment? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. What I can say concerning the yachting business, which I mean and I know better, is that it is trying to improve the sustainability. It is important to say that all the new boats that are coming into Greece right now are equipped with the latest technology in engines, which means that they endanger anti-pollution. They have low consumption, special filters, which reduce the fumes. Nearly all of the boats already have solar panels, and they work with batteries, and some also have wind generators. However, it's not to get to the full capacity of sustainability. This is something that has to be helped. The government has to help in this way. I will give you just a small example in Greece, for example. The majority of our ports and harbors are very small, and they don't even have the proper rubbish facilities. So it's something that also the Greek government has to help and fund to make these facilities better. I think though that the yachting industry is going into that way.
Sorry. Okay, thank you, Elena. Okay, we can continue with another question. Antun, maybe you can continue with your own question.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, basically in your last answer, you addressed already the question that I had in mind, and that is the use of new technologies to make the yachts more autonomous and with more action radius, let's say. But you also mentioned that the yachting business would need support still for installing these kind of technologies. Well, in previous by previous speaker, we already had some mentioning about funding of such investments and innovative actions. Is this kind of approach at all interesting for the people in yachting business? Do they find it natural step in new direction, or they somehow find it exotic and not yet so clear as the way to proceed?
First of all, I want to say that I agree a lot with Mr. Juric and what he said before about this. Innovation in yachting is something very good, and it's a very nice idea, and there are brilliant ideas out there that can be placed and be used on yachts. But the key question here, and the fact is that we as yacht owners cannot do this on our own. Funding is also good, but I don't know what happens in other countries, but in Greece, when you want something to be funded, you, first of all, they don't fund the full amount, so which means that you again have to pay from your pocket. And secondly, the procedure is so huge that it doesn't make people want to do it. I think businesses don't have the time to do all of this procedure when they also have to run their business and make sure that, you know, they are not going to close down. For me, and because I am a yacht owner and we have our own boats, it would be a much bigger incentive, for example, if the government said that, okay, you put solar panels on your boat, you pay for it, but if your boat has 2 solar panels, for example, we will give you a tax reduction on your annual fees that you have to pay, or we will give you a reduction in the marinas. Or this, for me, is a much bigger incentive than trying to apply for funding to do this. And right now, I think that everybody in my sector and tourism generally is not thinking of innovations. They're thinking of how they're going to work during this crisis and to make some money just to survive, not to put anything in their pocket right now.
Yeah, maybe I can give a short sub-question. You also mentioned the lack of facilities in marinas. And there is often a problem when a lot of yachts, especially larger boats, come to the marinas, then they have problems with electricity and water and similar. So maybe if the water and electricity could be provided by the facilities that are installed in yachts, then this problem would be lesser, and also it would save on the primary energy side and the emission side. So there could be the financing mechanisms that take into account, okay, yachts have installed new equipment, and because of this we save on emissions and primary energy, so we can provide some kind of support for this.
Yes, this is not a bad idea, but I think again, from the point of view of because what are you saying now? What are you saying now is for the clients to be happier, for example, and have all the water they need on board and have things like that. But somebody has to pay for it again. So who's going to pay for it? The yacht owner. And if the yacht owner pays for it, even a small amount, or I don't know what, that means that his charter rates will have to go up, which means again that the clients will not choose the Greek boats, for example, to come here. They will go somewhere else. You know, it's a very silver lining between innovation and businesses. Also, the other thing that I also mentioned before with the harbors in Greece, yes, the majority of the ports and the harbors in Greece don't have water and electricity. Most of the time, boats go to the bays and they have to get electricity from the taverna, for example. But on the other hand, they hardly pay anything. Whereas in other countries, the costs to go to the harbor and marina fees are huge. So it's a very silver lining. So yes, okay, they complain about this, but on the other hand, they don't pay for this. If we did all of this innovation that you're saying, and we increase the marinas or the harbors would increase the costs, then again the clients would complain that, you know, it's very expensive to go to Greece. They charge I don't know how much in harbors. It's something, I'm glad that you made this question, because it's something that we discuss nearly every week when the boats come back at our base with the clients. I believe that yes, Greece could do some innovations in this sector, but it also is something that our unions have also put ahead, but it's something that also the government needs to push to.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Elena. I had prepared a question about the first actions that SMEs should implement in order to confront the economic disaster. More specifically, we know that the tourism and nautical sectors have just opened after the lockdown. Which are the first actions that SMEs who operate in the field of nautical tourism should aim in order to confront this economic disaster? Partially, you have answered to us through the example of your own business. However, I would like to add whether you think that collaboration with other SMEs, other colleagues in Greece or in Adriatic Ionian could give you an advantage. So, for example, if you maybe you already do it, do you organize, for example, international tours with collaborators in Croatia, Albania, Italy, Slovenia, in Adriatic Ionian?
What we do is right now it's not so specific in this area, but every year there are organizations that we participate, which is more, let's say, global, more European, regarding cooperations between similar companies and how we can, I don't know, combat the problems in our industry. Another thing that we do is that we start working with companies that are they're not focused only on the yachting industry. So I don't know, for example, companies that do tour lands. We have suggested that maybe they could combine a tour land with chartering a yacht. And one more thing that I forgot to mention before is that because right now we have very big difficulties with flight connections to the islands, we ourselves as a company this year have put boats out to be chartered from Patras. And the only reason that we have done this is that we think that maybe it's easier for people to come to Athens and then travel to Patras than to go to an island and pick the boat up. There are lots of things that we are working on. Right now we don't know exactly what's going to happen. It's a working process, but we hope to try and do the best and become winners of this situation.
Yeah, we really hope to achieve this, because it is really important for enterprises to stay alive and to confront all these problems. Thank you very much, Elena. So I don't know if there is any other question by a participant from another one. I don't know, we are able to discuss any kind of issue with our speakers between us. So I don't know, maybe from our other partners, if you want to say something, to add something to this. Okay, so if we are okay, I would like to close this session. I would like to thank you all for your participation. I would like to thank especially to our two speakers, Elena and Mr. Jursic. Thank you very much for your time. We will keep your contacts, and of course I have to note that the discussion that we had will be uploaded also in the ECO-NautiNET, on the ECO-NautiNET platform. So it will be available not only to the participants of today, but at a later stage, anyone who is interested to see our discussion and the issues that we have debated, they can see the video. Thank you, Antun, and the University of Zagreb for the hosting and everything. Okay, thank you all for your participation.